Hello there chaps, Martin Pavey here. I hope that you're having a fantastic day and welcome back to the channel. I've got a bit of a different video for you today, but as you can see, I'm indoors today because it's very moody weather outside, very windy. It felt at many moments like the heavens were going to open, but the rain didn't happen, but the gusts of wind certainly kept themselves coming. But before we go into today's subject of freakiness in praise of the freak, please do like and subscribe and share to spread this very important message. It has to be said that the people that I have been so-called friends with over the years, they've all been very out there kind of people, quite extreme characters. And the truth is that whatever you do, no matter how good or bad it is, there are always underlying reasons why you're in the position that you're in. You always, and this is really worth admitting to yourself, no matter what situation that you're in, there is always something that you're getting out of it, that you went into that relationship for. Now, in particular, I had quite sort of outlying friends, and because I was a bit of an outlier as well, at school. I was, to be honest, when I was young, I was fairly normal, and then when I went to what we call secondary school here in the UK, which is from the age of 11, basically. And then you go all the way up to age 18, and then a lot of people go to university and you go to college, whatever. But during school, I was one of three of kind of the alternative in crowd. we were the slightly weird ones. We weren't the in crowd, but we were still quite famous in school, and that actually progressed to when I went to university in London in 2000. That my group, we were the in crowd. We had a massive. I was on a different campus originally, but particularly in the second year when we moved to Greenwich in southeast London, Greenwich proper. Where the Cutty Sark is, where the National Maritime Museum is, where the observatory is, the Greenwich Meridian line. In the student union, it was a huge building that was formerly a hospital building, where Admiral Lord Nelson, in fact, had his autopsy carried out on him. That's the Cooper Building, strange claim to fame. But there was a huge sprawling area with the bar and lots of seating areas, but then there was the DJ booth and a kind of a sectioned off bit, and it was kind of like Friends, because behind this sectioned off bit next to the DJ booth were two big sofas with big seating area, where it was just acknowledged that my group would always sit there. It was just one of those automatic things, and all of those friends were incredibly talented people, really creative, but also took their drinking and their drug taking to pretty much pathological levels, and there were lots of flare-ups and fallouts and different people sort of coming and going, and leaves of absence of particular friends and then returning to the fold, quite chaotic. And one friend in particular, he completely removed himself from the group, and he started going to the gym towards the end of university, and he sort of vanished. And he actually did really well for himself, started blogging and doing all these different things, So I've always liked that kind of person, And I've always been in favor of freaks, the unusual people that push the envelope, that are very definitely themselves. And I count myself in that number, in that kind of group. And what I've realized is, particularly through doing therapy, which has been life-changing, what I found is that I've always put myself in positions where I've been to making all of the effort. That's very rarely been reciprocated. And if I, at any point, actually asserted myself, that would be met with very, very sharp and very harsh criticism and judgment. And so the freaks that I want to know now, the outliers, are not the people that are sort of sociopathic kind of people, and or narcissistic people, but the doers, the people that go out there and do really vital work, heartfelt work. And obviously I've taken my life in the direction of copywriting, and there are lots of projects that are all coming together at the moment. It's very exciting. But don't be afraid of being that person who isn't part of the, the run-of-the-mill, predictable kind of people. You don't necessarily have to do that. It's okay to really put yourself out there and hold your head above the parapet and basically say, well, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and you can either come with me or not. And that's sort of the online life that we all have. Whenever you go online, you always have an opportunity of meeting extraordinary people who really are doing exciting and adventurous things and doing it consistently. Because I derive a huge sense of satisfaction and achievement, accomplishment from doing these videos. And the thing is, in having done them consistently now for about 2 months, in fact it's just over a couple of months I've been doing these videos, the other things peripherally are actually, well, I say peripherally, actually, as a result of doing them consistently, I'm now getting messages, I'm now getting messages from people giving me great advice, giving me really good feedback on the YouTube channel, things that I can do. And it's all stuff that, I have to say, it's all stuff that's really useful now, and I take it as useful now. But actually, in the past, I actually used to take it quite personally, in a negative kind of a way, I used to take things like I was being criticised a lot, and sometimes that was true. But I did actually mistake genuine kindness from people for sort of being patronised, and it wasn't true. But do watch that, because I don't actually know where it originates, but there is a fantastic phrase that when the student is ready, the teacher or the master will appear. And T. Harv Eker said that every master was once a disaster, and in the beginning of doing anything, you don't really know what you're doing. Tractor again. Proper countryside. You don't know what you're doing in the beginning, But I know that with my group of friends at university in particular, and I have to say the friends that I had at school, there was nothing stopping me from walking away and having other friends. And that's the lesson I've learnt now. I regret nothing. I don't believe in mistakes. I do believe that you have to go through all of these things. You have to learn through experience. It's the only way that you can, by actually getting out into the real world and getting your hands grubby. But now, certainly, when I encounter people that I clearly don't gel with, I find it much easier now, and progressively more and more easy, to actually walk away. You don't have to stay in the same scenario forever. But do look out for the interesting people, because guess what? They make life interesting, and they make it educational. The people that I'm following closely and interacting with, commenting on their tweets and things, I'm getting emails now from a lot of them, and relationships are developing, and it's incredibly exciting thing. And I encourage you to do the same and to use social media, because it's highly unlikely that you're not on some kind of social media. Use it to actually network, and people are afraid of these words, networking, or people will use the word outreach. All it is having a chat with people. It's nothing more than that, and you don't have to make it anything more than that. Just make friends, befriend people, and speak to them like they're friends. A fantastic chap that I follow on Twitter called Aaron Will, and he just says, just treat everybody like your friends already, and the ones that are your people will respond positively to it. That's all the testing really that you have to do. But for some reason it can be quite overwhelming or intimidating to make these new friends. But it's just having a chat, finding out about people, seeing what people are working on, collaborating, learning from each other, and if nothing else, actually supporting each other. Which, with the freaks that I was with in the beginning at school and at university, they actually weren't very supportive people. In fact, they made it known that if you were sort of, I guess, encroaching on their space, that they would actually retaliate in pretty brutal ways, I have to say. And I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, nobody else has known the suffering that I've known or anything like that. There are people who have been through far worse. But I do realise actually that a lot of the people I was with were extreme personalities, and out of familiarity, I kept on going back and desperately clinging, trying to make relationships work when they were already dead. I don't know if it's a popular phrase in the States, but in the UK we say flogging a dead horse. Well, it's this horse is dead. you don't need to annihilate it any further. It's gone. And I find myself now in a position where basically all of the people that I've known, with a handful of exceptions, are gone from my formative years, and I've got space now to make fantastic new friends. I find it really comforting. I find it exciting at the same time as well to go into new relationships, whatever they may be, friendships or sexual partners or whoever, business colleagues, that I can go into it now really fresh, knowing exactly what I want and knowing exactly what I will accept and say no to, and to be able to allow relationships to develop naturally, but also foster the circumstances that work for me. But I've never done that before, really. I've always just been desperately trying to, please the other person and never myself. So always, this is the key. Always remember that in good relationships, it's win-win. both sides benefit and both sides work together. Always, always remember that. So thank you very much for listening. Don't be afraid of being a freak, of being out there, being the 1% of people who actually do the work, and enjoy it. Feel good about yourself for doing it. So thank you very much. Martin Pavey here. Always very grateful to have you here on the channel. Please do like, subscribe and share to spread this very important message. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Please leave me any comments below. Ciao for now.